Good evening and welcome to the F1Stop show. I'm your host, Sam Oney, and with me tonight is Wes Bearman. Wes, how are you?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks, Sam. Another decent-ish race, I suppose. Not last weekend, the week before now, in Jeddah. Australia is fast approaching this weekend. And yeah, some good action in Formula E as well. I don't know if you've seen that. I don't, it was Sam Bird, his first race win since 21, I think. Incredible move, and on the literally like the second to last corner in Sao Paulo. I need to have a watch of that. I haven't actually watched that race yet, but yeah, lots of racing to look forward to. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Speaking of that Formula E, it's been a long time since I've touched on it. I think I need to get back into it again. I did watch the first race in in Mexico, but after that I just stopped watching it. I need to get back into it. Yeah. So Saudi Arabia, round two. Max Verstappen, as you know, uh, won the race, 100th podium, which was very nice. However, that wasn't the big talking point in Jeddah. It was Oliver Bearman of Ferrari, young driver, 18 years old. Um, he he was standing in for Carlos Sainz, who was unavailable for the race, and he had an impressive race. In fact, it was brilliant race from the young Brit. From the young Brit. What do you make of it? What do you make of his race?
Yeah, an exceptional drive from Bearman on F1 debut. As you say, got the call incredibly late. I think he only had just FP3, so 1 hour in an F1 car for the first time, and then here you go, here's qualifying. Good luck. And had a really good qualifying as well. Qualified P11, but it was only like 300ths of a second off of. I think it was knocking Hamilton out of Q2. Sensational start from him. Yeah, it took him a little while to sort of get warmed up in the race. Took him a few laps to get past Sonoda. Um, yeah, some really good. He sort of learned on the job basically, and by the end, um, yeah, P7, 6 points. It may not sound like 6 points for Ferrari. How is that a good drive? But this is an 18-year-old kid born in 2005, which is just insane that we're even talking about people born that late now. I mean, I was born in 2000, so to have someone 5 years or 4 years younger than me racing in Formula One is just mental at the moment. But yeah, a sensational drive, and hopefully we see more of him next year. There obviously is that seat next year. Not that he'll get the Mercedes seat, but
Yeah.
could you be looking somewhere like a Haas? And Gunter Steiner, former Haas team principal, has come out and said that he would give him a seat next year. Yeah, based off his drive in Saudi, then he deserves it, and it just shows what great talent there is coming up through Formula Two, because he's not the first driver to to get a race seat off the back of appendicitis. There was, I think it was Nick De Vries,
Mm.
not last year, the year before, when Albon had appendicitis, and De Vries, I think, deputised for him in Monza and got points on F1 debut as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, who knows? Two drivers just trying to. I don't know if there's a way of giving people appendicitis. Not that you'd want to, but yeah, F2 drivers just lurking in the back. I think actually Ferrari's sort of reserve driver is Robert Schwartzman, but I think he was racing in WEC, the World Endurance Championship for Ferrari
Yeah.
that weekend as well. But obviously F2 in Saudi Arabia got Bearman there anyway. So yeah, I've rambled on a bit now, sorry. But yeah, fantastic drive from Bearman. And yeah, hopefully we get to see more of him. Probably not next year, or if we do next year, then in the Haas or whoever, Toro Rosso, not Toro Rosso, Carlos Sainz, RB, potentially, who knows really. Um, yeah, hopefully he gets a seat for next year, if not the year after.
Um,
What did you make of this drive?
I thought it was brilliant. Starting 11th, finishing 7th. Um, at the start he was having a small battle with Yuki Tsunoda, which was great. Struggled to get past him, but eventually, making up 4 places, that's very impressive. I saw a video on Twitter, F1 Twitter. So it was just a picture of Ollie Bearman's headrest, his cockpit. So I think so when you're looking at it on the right side, it's all nice and clean, race start. But on the left side, I think the left the left side of the headrest, or is it the right? I'm not sure. Anyway, one of them was basically like all worn out and everything because he'd worked so hard in the race. And I think on his Twitter or his Instagram, F1 must have said something, or Ferrari must have said something, and then Ollie Bearman was like, uh, "More preparation, please, for next time." And I was like, "Oh, Ollie, oh wow!" It just shows like how hard he's been working, and yeah, he had a great race. I was very impressed by him.
No, I mean, like the first thing he said, or the first thing he was asked, in like the post race media stuff, like the journalist asked him, so, like, how do you feel? And he was just like destroyed. And I don't blame him. I mean, the G-forces in an F1 car. I mean, to go into a full race, 50 laps around Saudi Arabia, the fastest street circuit on the calendar, one of the fastest circuits on the calendar, full stop, with the high-speed corners everywhere. So you really sort of the G-forces are really up against you. And yeah, for him to, as you say, make up 4 places on F1 debut, the first driver to debut for Ferrari since I think 1972. Let me get my notes up. Yeah, Arturo Mazzario in British Grand Prix 72. Um, I mean, anyone to get points on their F1 debut is brilliant. But yeah, to get 6 points, P7 for Ferrari after having only an hour of practice in the car, getting a late call up like literally the day before the race is just on another level. And yeah, hopefully we'll see more of him in the years to come.
So, sorry, that was Ollie Bearman and his fantastic debut. As mentioned, Max Verstappen won in Jeddah with his 100th podium. But another thing that most of us may have seen was Hulkenberg and Magnussen of Haas. Do you want to explain to us what you saw regarding that race?
Yeah, so we had the Lance Stroll's crash, I think relatively early on, wasn't it? Where's my notes at? Lap 6. So yeah, very early on. Stroll, I can't remember which turn it was, but either flipped the ball on either the left or right, tried to turn into the corner and obviously couldn't because his steering's broken. Went into the wall, safety car deployed. I think only 4 cars stayed out: Norris, Hamilton, Joe, and Hulkenberg. Um, and then obviously Hulkenberg got to stay out on the mediums. They couldn't double stack the 2 halves. Um, so they had to stay out to go onto the soft tyres towards the end. Obviously, got to use 2 different sets of tyres in Formula One. And yeah, Hulkenberg stayed in, I think it was either 10th or 11th, I can't remember which. Yeah, and had a bit of a bit of a battle with Bearman as well during that time. But yeah, but I think where's the graphic? Formula One posted this graphic on their social media channels, and it was lap 22. So the gap from Hulkenberg to Magnussen, 4.447 seconds. That was when Magnussen received his first 10-second penalty. I think for making a bit of a dive on Yuki Tsunoda. He sort of got along or tried to go down the inside and completely missed the apex, went off track, cut the sort of second part of the chicane and didn't give the place back, just kept on driving. So he got a 10-second penalty for that. And then just 12 laps later, that gap from pretty much 4.5 seconds increased to 22.5 seconds, so 18 seconds. The gap between Hulkenberg and Magnussen without letting a single car go past. I think 18 seconds in 12 laps is exceptionally well done from Magnussen. A little bit suspect the way he did doing dive bombs here and slightly
Yeah.
dangerous driving, let's be honest. But I mean, it paid off. Hulkenberg made his pit stop, came out in P10 and yeah, kept that position to the end of the race and got his first points in 20 Grand Prix, Nico Hulkenberg. And yeah, fair play to Magnussen and Haas for doing that, as it might not have been exactly sporting the way Magnussen drove, you could say. But fair play, it worked for Haas, and they got a point. They're off the bottom of the constructors standings, which is always a good thing for Haas. So yeah, well done. Yeah, I just think that's an exception. I mean, we saw it a couple of years in 2021 when Perez completely sacrificed his race in Abu Dhabi to ensure Verstappen kept the lead over Hamilton. And the way Perez drove there, not so probably better than Magnussen, who wasn't like dive bombing or dangerous or driving dangerously, but it's that sort of level of defensive driving that you just love to see in Formula One,
Yeah.
and it's a team sport at the end of the day. So fair play to Hart, fair play to Magnussen, and yeah, it paid off. It may only be a point, but the higher they climb, Haas and that constructors, the more prize money they get at the end of the year. So every little point helps, or every point helps. And yeah, just thought that was a fantastic piece of gamesmanship, tactics, whatever you want to call it, from Magnussen and Haas.
So, just on that note, before we move on to Australia, who do you think is going to finish bottom? Williams or Haas?
Alpine to throw in a third one there. I mean,
That's not even an option.
I mean, Gasly's 21st in a 20-driver championship, so it's not looking good for Alpine. It's been so slow, Alpine. I don't really know why, because they've gone backwards. I think the last few years they were decent a few years ago, but yeah, last year they were okay. Well, I say okay. I think they finished 6th or 7th in the end when they want to be finishing sort of 4th, 5th. And then yeah, this year they've just been so slow. And they qualified bottom of the pack in Bahrain, finished pretty much bottom of the pack, with the exception of issues giving them a few places. And then yeah, this weekend or a couple of weekends ago in Saudi, Ocon 17th, and Gasly unfortunately retired with, I think it was a gearbox problem after the first lap, only just about made the formation lap. So yeah, it's not looking good for the Enstone team. So yeah, I mean, out of your options, Williams or Haas, I'd probably go Haas to finish the lower of the two. I just think Williams have got a bit more. I think Williams will be more consistent over the year, whereas Haas, yeah, they might have the odd point like they got in Saudi, but I don't see them consistently sort of battling for the 9th, the 10th place. With Williams, with Albon and Sargent to an extent, I feel like they can get into like that top 10, yeah, more consistently.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, what would surprise me is if Williams actually finish above Alfa Romeo in the Constructors' Championship.
Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
Stake, Sauber, F1.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm so sorry. You see,
3 years behind.
This is I'm really behind on these names because just when F1 used to be so simple. Anyway, so that's Saudi Arabia. That's round 2 done. And on to round 3 in Australia now, down under. So, are you excited about Australia? What are you excited for? And do you remember anything from last year's race?
Not really, no. Although looking at the race result, it seemed to be a pretty good race. I mean, Verstappen won. I suppose that's a given. But Hamilton second, just 0.179 seconds behind, and then Alonso P3, Stroll P4. So I can't remember much of it, but it looks to have been a pretty good race. And yeah, I think it was, as we mentioned, like in the last episode, Alonso had this fantastic run where he didn't drop out of the top 5 for most of the first half of the season, I think it was.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Aston Martin just had this excellent start to the season, then sort of tailed off a little bit towards the end. But yeah, as I say, can't really remember much. But I mean, if you've got a top three separated by less than a second, then then it's going to be good to watch. I mean, even Stroll was only 3 seconds behind, and then Perez. I mean, the top six separated by less than 4 seconds. That's pretty good. And Australia has typically, I think, been a track that hasn't been that entertaining. Um, but yeah, I mean, if last year's anything to go by, then hopefully we'll get a similar sort of contest this year. Um, hopefully it's not just Verstappen pole, Verstappen win, Verstappen fastest lap. Because I think we'll see a lot of those over the course of the season. Um, I'd like to see, yeah, Ferrari get into the mix. If Mercedes can get back up there, I don't think Mercedes have been at their best. Sort of battling with McLaren for that third spot at the moment in the constructors, when you really think Mercedes should be up there battling with Ferrari, Red Bull, but they're just not doing that over the two races we've seen so far. So,
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully Australia can provide. I mean, it'd be good if Piastri and Ricciardo do well, obviously being their home races. I mean, Piastri podium in Australia, that would be fantastic, I think.
That would
I
be
don't care,
great.
don't care who the top two is. If Piastri gets on that third step, brilliant, fantastic. But yeah, I'm optimistic for some midfield battles, as I say, between McLarens and Mercedes and um, Williams. Maybe, who knows? Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But as for the race itself, hopefully someone can battle with Verstappen for that top step.
And speaking of, how do you see qualifying panning out? Who's your pole sitter, your race winner, and give us your driver of the day.
I'm going qualifying Verstappen pole, race winner Verstappen. Um, driver of the day, Ricardo, because home
Okay.
race, and I know RB hasn't been that great in these first two races. I mean, Ricardo loves a home race, as does everyone, I suppose. But yeah, it'd be great to see if he can break into that top seven, top eight, if you can get the car up there. Um, Again, love to see Piastri do well. If Hamilton and Russell can get those Mercedes into the top five, and that'd be great as well. But yeah, pole Verstappen, race win Verstappen, driver of the day, Danny Ricciardo.
Okay. I agree with you with everything that you've
All three.
mentioned. Well, except for driver of the day, where I'm going with the other Australian driver, being Oscar Piastri. Um, I think he will have a very good race. Um, in fact, I think he can get into the I think he'll get into Q3 as a given. Um, as for where he starts, maybe starting P7, P8, and yeah, I'm hoping for a good race. Uh, just so long as there's no red flags, because last year in Australia there were two red flags. Um, I think because of one of the Williams drivers, I'm not sure which one, crashed on the barriers. So hopefully we're going to have a clean race in Australia, and yeah, it should be exciting.
Yeah, it should be, hopefully. As I said, Australia hasn't typically thrown up the most interesting races, but as we say last year, I haven't watched the highlights back, but I don't remember much from it. But if you got the podium separated by less than a second, then you're in for a pretty good race.
Right. So just finally, one final question. We've both mentioned that Verstappen is going to win the race. So should he go on to win the race, how much of a gap will there be between him and the second place finisher, whoever that is?
That's interesting. I think in Bahrain it was something ridiculous, like 22 seconds or something, but then in
Yeah.
Saudi it was it was still a big gap, but 8.6 seconds, I think, compared to 22. I mean, it's less than half. So um, I'm gonna be sort of slightly optimistic and go 4 seconds. So
Okay.
it's a little bit close, but still comfortable enough for Verstappen to ease off for the last few laps. Um, I just don't really see anyone getting that close to him. I mean, yeah, I'd love if Perez can get close to Sainz, assuming Sainz is back, obviously. Um, Alonso, Hamilton, who knows? Yeah, I'd love it if anyone can challenge him, but I just don't see that at the moment. Red Bull are just too strong.
It's gonna have to take a super car to get close to the Flying Dutchman. Um, but yeah, hopefully it's a good race this weekend, and we're looking forward to it. You know, everyone loves F1, and what could go wrong? Um, so yeah, we've come to the end of another episode of F1 Stop Show. We hope you've enjoyed it. I've been your host, Sam Roney, and it's a goodbye from me. Bye bye. And it's a goodbye from Wes.
Bye bye.
And we hope you enjoy the Australian Grand Prix this weekend.